Let's get ready to rumble!
Now, we all say some bullshit in the knowledge of hindsight. People always say some bullshit. But, you could have always did things differently. Always, no matter what you do in life. Now, let's take Amir Khan. A lot of people are saying, yeah, he needs to ditch Freddie and this and that. But how much should we really pay attention to that? Let's take Angelo Dundee. He wasn't really a trainer as such. He was a motivator. He was good to have in the corner. These are nearly the exact words I'm paraphrasing from Sugar Ray Leonard. That's what he said about Angelo. It's like the true boxing legends. And I'm not going to go and do a list. Just think of them in your mind. From the past to the present day. You never hear them complaining about trainers and diet. And don't get me wrong, all these fighters have had to make modifications and adjustments to be successful, because you have to switch it up sometimes. You need variation, or shit becomes stale. Yeah, we know that. But look at Kell Brook. Kell Brook and Eddie Hearn are saying, oh, we really need to change our diet because you had one bad fight. But you had 28 fights beforehand. And let's bear in mind, he did win the fight against Jones. But all of a sudden, I have to stop eating white bread. I have to stop eating chips and mushy peas, whoever they yam down in Sheffield. You know what I mean? But it was all right for 28 fights. And look, this is a very subjective video. Because when somebody like Alex Ferguson, like the time when Man United got battered, this was years back, one game. They lost about 3-0, and they had on that ugly grey kit. Ferguson blamed it on the kit. I mean, that they couldn't see each other properly and shit like that. But the thing is, when you're the most successful manager in the history of football in Britain, you can say what you like, and it has to have a touch of validity to it, no matter how ridiculous it sounds, because it's all results based. And after that, they didn't lose any games for how long, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But if shit is mediocre, shit is mediocre. I mean, look, there's probably some fighters who eat white bread and drink beer and smoke cigarettes, but they've just got better boxing instincts than other fighters. And that's the bottom line. It's like George Best is one of the greatest footballers the world has ever seen. I was going to say Europe, but he's one of the best footballers the world has ever produced. And he used to hate training. He couldn't stand training. George would rather be in a club with some hotties, some champagne. That was George. So why am I saying he's one of the greatest footballers ever and he wasn't dedicated to training? And look, if George was dedicated to training and all that shit, he could have probably been up there with Pele and Maradona. He probably could have done. But his natural ability alone is something nobody could have coached into it. You know? That's just him having a three-dimensional mind to how the game should be played. That's what allows him to stand out. You can't coach that shit. How important really are coaches and diet to you being a good fighter? Is changing your coach going to give you a better chin? Is changing your coach going to stop the opponent's dad getting into your head? Is changing your coach going to stop you from trying to impress HBO by showing that you're some all-action fighter. It's switching from white bread to brown bread and eating organic vegetables. Is that really going to turn you into an elite fighter? You see, my argument is, if you're going to be great, you just make the right steps. Diet. Selecting who's going to be in your camp. You can't be overthinking everything and then become great. You just accept this is what's got to be done and we do it. That's all it is. It's like what Blood Boxing said in that video the other day. The guy didn't have no solutions in his video. All he was doing was jabber, jabber, jaw, the black youth are bad, no solutions. And I was talking to, I'm just going to say a family member, because I can't put family members out there like that. Yesterday, I was around my mum's house yesterday. And recently, I stopped using the microwave because I just don't trust that shit, man. You know what I mean? I just don't trust that shit. So, the person I was talking to, a family member, said, well, you're going to have to stop using the phone, the television, and the computer because they all emit radiation. So I said, hang on. So you're saying because you're taking in 20 milligrams of radiation all day, you might as well take in 50. Shouldn't the argument be that I have to minimize how much radiation I'm exposed to? I don't just say, okay, it's getting me anyway, let me just open up the floodgates and become a human piece of radioactive waste. Hell no. You try to cut down how much you're taking in. That's a practical solution to modern day living. Everybody uses a computer or a mobile phone and watches television. That doesn't mean that you can't find a safer computer screen. That doesn't mean you can't put an earpiece inside your phone. There are things you can do. And then another topic came up. This guy was talking about internet fraud. How people are getting your passwords from certain sites and, you know what I mean, they're just fucking pretending that they're you and living off your money. So I said, I want to hear what this guy's got to say. The family member says, there's probably not much you can do about it. So I said, hold on. So I'm listening to the guy. He said, you've got to log down what sites that you've used and what passwords you've used on them and make sure when you're finished fucking with that site that you leave it properly. You terminate your membership or whatever and make sure you're out. And shit like that. And don't get it twisted. I love this family member dearly. Yeah? But I told him you've got a really negative attitude. Really negative. I said, look, once you're breathing, no matter what your predicament is, there's always something you can do and try. Whether it works or not is two different arguments. And you see, what I'm trying to get at is, and I'm not saying I'm great, but if you don't search for solutions to fix things, and you're just saying, well, it could be cheese, it could be butter, it could be eggs, come on, man. No. You have to do what is necessary, and it's got to be done. And it's got to be done. And in my opinion, that's how the greats think. They're not accepting mediocrity. And it's a big problem in Britain. It's a big problem. Because when Andy Murray recently lost the final in Wimbledon, the man was getting 2-page spreads how brilliant he was. And I said to myself, if he was in America and he got second place, Andy who? He would have got a couple of lines and that's it. The bottom line is, if you're saying you can beat Floyd Mayweather Jr., you can't be getting knocked out by Brennis Prescott And I'm not saying Garcia is not a good fighter, but he's a prospect who happens to have a couple of belts. Yeah? You're getting knocked out by people like that. Then saying it was a lucky punch. And then your fans are saying it's a lucky punch. Then it's the referee's fault. Now, if you was really great, you would have just said, yeah, he caught you in a shot. Next time, my defense will be impregnable. That's the language of a great. Yeah? Not all this whining, trying to get your title back from Peterson. You know, oh, it's this, the judges, and you're a little bitch. I keep it real with you. You're being a bitch. Right? And until you get over that, you can't be a great. To be a fighter, you have to be self-motivated. Your coach should actually be catching up to you, not the other way around. Granted, when you first turn pro, you need your manager and your trainer to blood you into the system. But I shouldn't even have to say that to you. Yeah? But by the time you establish yourself and you know what it takes and what you've got to do, you need to be dictating the pace. You need to be inspiring your coach. That he has to be just as imaginative as you. So you hit that goal to becoming a great. Life is short, man. Life is short. And in my opinion, by the time you're age 12 and 13, to a degree, it's all on you. If you still need your mummy to wake you up to go to school, yeah? When you turn 16, you need your daddy to help you enroll in college because you're not infused to do it. You're either just going to become a mediocre member of society or you're going to bum out. That's all you're going to do. That's all you're going to do. Yeah? If you know you've got to go to school, get the fuck out of your bed and go to fucking school. Right? You know what I mean? No one should have to tell you. When it's time to go to college, don't wait for your parents to ask you. Tell your parents you want to enroll in college and you want to get it done. Yeah? That's what you want to do. You do it. You take the initiative. It doesn't matter who the box assigns to, management, promotion. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if whoever is the coach or whatever, the boxer is the franchise player of the whole thing. If he doesn't fight, the coach ain't going in the ring. Bob Arum or Frank Warren ain't going in the ring. It all collapses. Yeah? The boxer has more power than we often give credit to. If the boxer decides he doesn't want to do something that the promoter suggests, then the promoter will just drop him. It's simple. It's like when years back, when Herbie Hyde lost his WBO heavyweight title to Vitali. I remember reading the newspaper, and Barry Hearn came down like a ton of bricks on Herbie Hyde saying, this is what happens when you cut back paying out for decent sparring, etc., etc. That he was ill prepared for such a fight because he didn't want to pay out the money for sparring or some shit. And he paid the penalty. Now, basically, everything comes out of Hyde's purse. So, Hearn didn't have no say in how much money that Herbie was supposed to invest in his sparring. That was Herbie's decision. He's the franchise. Bottom line. You know what I mean? The coach can suggest to Herbie, look, you need better sparring partners. Bottom line, it's Herbie's budget. If he wants to cut back on sparring, he can do it. If he doesn't want to turn up to train one day, that's up to him. What can the promoter do? Put him in detention. What can the coach do? They just have to wait for him to come in or leave. I mean, I'm not downplaying the role of coaches, but let's take Enzo Calzaghe. If he's such a great coach, as some people are saying, where are the other Joe Calzaghes? Was it really his coaching? Or was it that Joe had exceptional cardiovascular, where he could just kill you with volume punches? He'd throw as much punches in round 12 as he did in round 1. In my opinion, I don't believe there was no coach who taught Jack Johnson to learn defense how he learned it. I don't think no coach taught Ali to be that fast on his feet and his hands, or Sugar Ray Robinson, or Sugar Ray Leonard, or Roy Jones. I don't think no coach did that. They might have helped their fitness. They might have helped minimize some defects in their technique. Yeah, I'm not denying that. But in my opinion, somebody like Ali could have made his professional debut and beat Sonny Liston, because his boxing was just that advanced. There's no way Liston could outfight him to beat him. He could maybe land one punch, but we all know anybody can land one punch and end the fight. And that can always happen. But if you're talking beating him, no, it's not happening. He's not beating Ali. Just not going to happen. Because there's no opponent Ali fought before he fought Liston who could have prepared him for Sonny, because there was just nobody as strong as that. So he could have more than likely have made his professional debut and beat Liston. Yeah? Whoever first got to coach Ali was lucky, because they didn't have to do much. What are you going to do? What are you going to teach him? The man can fly. People like Michael Jordan, Maradona, Pele. What the fuck do you have to teach him? You see, because this is where I give Adam Booth credit. I think he just lets David more or less do what he wants to do. I don't think Adam really dictates the training, because David doesn't do long runs. He's always done them short sprints, or them long kind of sprints. He doesn't do no 6-mile running. Yeah? Because that doesn't work for all fighters. And David's always been a bit unconventional. So, Adam Booth, I think, is just a very, very good support unit. And I think he's learned as much from David as David has learned from him. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. You're never going to hear David Haye come out and say, I need to change my coach. It's not going to happen. You don't hear David saying, oh, I need to eat brown bread instead of white. Shit, you hear what I'm saying? Because he knows his own mind. Say what you like about him, he knows his own mind. Like, reporters were asking him, are you going to fight again? After you knocked out Chisora, are you going to fight again soon? And he says, no. Because common opinion is you have to fight regularly to be a really good fighter. But that doesn't make sense, really. It doesn't work for every fighter. David's only had 30-odd contests in 8 or 9 years. He doesn't fight a lot. It's like, I was arguing with a few people before the Kell Brook and Carson Jones fight. Like, they kept saying things like, oh, Carson's been through hard times. He's been knocked out. He's been knocked down. He's been in with this and that, and he's took a load of punches, so he knows what it feels like. So that gives him a great chance in the fight. You can't necessarily correlate that to anything. Just because you're taking a whole heap of punishment doesn't mean you're learning anything. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily toughening you up. Yeah, you have to develop some resistance against pain to be successful as a boxer. But taking unnecessary punishment, all that leads to is Vietnam flashback shit. That's all that leads to. It's not going to make you better. In fact, all them beatings is probably why Carson didn't attack earlier in the fight. he was probably shell-shocked from some of them stoppages and the beatings he's took. So he was very cautious in the first 6. And then when he realized that, yo, Brooks good, but he's not exactly Thomas Hearns, he started attacking more. And then he started doing better. But until he adjusts his thinking from a journeyman to a winner, he's always going to come up short. And I apologize for the way I said he was going to get knocked the fuck out. I don't apologize for the prediction, but I'm not going to use language like that. I'm going to be much more respectful. The prediction, no, I don't apologize for that. Yeah, he didn't get knocked out, but he lost the first 6 rounds. So to me predicting him to get knocked out was the right prediction because he lost the first 6. So I didn't underestimate him. He lost the first 6 rounds. He fought exactly to the script. And Kell Brook's chin passed an examination. An examination I didn't think it would have to face in this particular fight. But at the same time, Kell has to learn to fight ugly. He knows how to win rounds, but that's only one aspect of boxing. Yeah? You see, a good champion, a great champion doesn't only know how to fight like a great champion, he knows how to fight like a journeyman, a crafty journeyman as well. Yeah? All of them do. Like, you see Ali, Floyd, Roy Jones, when they do the rope-a-dope. Rope-a-dope is really a poor man's boxing tactic. It really is, you know. You're not in the center of the ring blasting in the jab. You're on the ropes trying to capitalize on someone's mistakes. That's poor man's boxing, really. But it's good. It's like soul food. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's good still. Because there are going to be times when you can't always be mobile, on your feet bouncing round. What a lot of people don't realize is that shit takes up fucking energy and lactic acid. You know what I mean? Once you reach welterweight, once you get to that weight, bouncing around, it takes up fucking energy because your weight. If you're a straw weight, you could probably maybe do that. That's why when you see the Kenyan long distance runners, they don't have no calves in their legs or shit. No big calf muscles or nothing. Because when you're running for them distances and you've got weight on you, you're going to mash up your back running all that miles at that speed. You'll fuck your back up. That's what happened to Richie Woodall. He used to do a lot of hard running. A lot of hard running. When he was a boxer. Man fucked his back up. I think he wore out some of his vertebrae or something. I don't know what it was. He wore out some of the cartilage or something. Man had to stop fighting. And that's because of years of running. Years and years of running. Can't always be bouncing up on your toes. Yeah? You have to learn how to block punches on your elbow and forearms. Stop that man getting that right hand shot off. Learn how to maul. Make the crowd boo. You know what I mean? Make them go boo. So what? Even if it means you lose a point because you've already won the first 6. You're not getting put on the floor and your brain ain't getting rattled anyway. Just so Larry Merchant can say, oh, you're a value for money television fighter. Fuck that. Learn how to protect what you got. And he did to a degree, but he did by exposing his chin. He has to learn to do that a different way. I was talking to Errol Jarrett yesterday on the Black Boxer page on Facebook. I observed that Derek Chisora is actually younger than David Price. Yet, look at both of their records, who they've been in with. Yeah, Derek's lost his last 4. But he's been in with Tyson Fury. He's been in with Robert Helenius. He's been in with Vitaly Klitschko. Both of them matches on foreign soil in Europe. He's been in with David Haye. Would Tyson Fury and David Price both have O's on their record if they fought the same standard or level of competition that Derek has? That's why I want to give Derek props, because he's only had 19 fights. And Frank Warren hasn't allowed Derek to develop his skills at a steady rate. And yeah, Derek was probably going up to Frank, look, bring me Vladimir Klitschko, I'll fight him. Bring me Helenius, I'll fight him. But management, good management, dealing with a young, inexperienced fighter will say, look, we have to slow you down a little, bro. Okay, we'll let you fight Tyson Fury because you have a similar amount of fights as each other, a similar amount of experience. So we'll let you fight him. But after you lost them points to him, good fight as well. Derek should have been back in the gym, refining his shit, having a few confidence builders, just like Kell Brook is going to take after his hard fight against Carson Jones, even though Kell Brook's had 28 fights. Derek's only had 19, yeah? And let's bear in mind, he only had 17 fights when he fought Helenius. Derek should have been allowed after the Tyson Fury match to have a couple of confidence builders, try out some new skills, yeah? Get his footing back in the ring. Give him that winning feeling again. But Frank Warren didn't do that. Yeah? He didn't say, look, I'm going to slow you down, Derek, so you can come back stronger. Because here's the factors you have to bear in mind. Derek had little or no amateur experience. Yeah? So Frank didn't have to pay no big signing fee to get Derek. Because it's not like he won the Olympics or got a silver or had ABA titles behind him. No, he didn't have no pedigree. So he signed up Derek, saw that Derek was a strong lad with a really good chin, a good engine. So Frank just threw him in the deep end in all these fights to cash in. Did you see how Frank signed up David Price when he got dropped from Sky? Now bear this in mind. When the build-up for Haye and Chisora was going on, David Price threw some shots at the fight about it not having the British Boxing Board of Control behind it. And, you know, he threw a few, not big shots, he threw a few shots though, because he was working for Sky Sports. And Sky Sports was trying to offset what Box Nation was doing. Box Nation is Frank Warren's boxing network, for those who don't know. Now, come fight night for Haye and Chisora, who's in the panel for Box Nation? David Price. Talking about the build-up of the fight now. No more subliminal shots at the fight now. Let's speed ahead to say 40 minutes later, after Derek was beaten by Haye. We hear David Price talking now. Yeah, we're probably going to be looking to fight Derek Chisora now. You see, boxing's a cold game. Fighters have to look out for themselves. Have to look out for themselves. They have to watch Wagwan with their money, with some of the shiesty moves, as well as how they perform in the ring. And that alludes to what I was saying earlier. Yeah? The coach can tell you how to fight. But if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you've got to go in there and do you. So even if you get knocked out, at least you stood by your own convictions. Yeah? It's obvious what Frank Warren's doing. He's juiced Derek for the last 4 or 5 fights, whatever it is. He's managed to build Box Nation off Derek's name. He threw him in some hard fights very early in his career. And let's bear in mind that on his 17th fight, Frank was going to pitch him in there with Vladimir Klitschko. 17 fights arguably the best heavyweight in the world. You think he's going to do that to David Price? No, he's not going to do that. He's not just going to throw him into tough fight after tough fight. No. You see, what Frank is doing, he's rode the Derek Chisora train. Like, Derek's got through some hard fights because he's got a solid chin. And he's got a massive heart. So, Frank knew, just like a lot of people knew, that look, Derek's already lost how many times at that level? 3 in a row. Yeah? David Haye, despite what anyone wants to say, is a top-level boxer. He's one of the best. Frank Warren knew that there's a good chance that David Haye was going to beat Chisora. Yeah? He knew this. Why do you think he signed David Price? It's worked out perfectly for Frank. So all of a sudden, the normally cautious David Price, he's a kind of, yeah, I'll let my manager sort out who I'm going to fight. No, he comes out boldly. Yeah, we're looking at the Chisora fight next. Because Frank's looking to cash his chips in on Derek now. He knows the public, there's a certain demographic of the public that don't like Derek. He's cashing in his chips now. And in the back of Frank's mind, even though Derek was immaculately behaved on Saturday, he's thinking, damn, I don't really know what Derek's going to do next. The guy's unpredictable. He's crazy. You know what I mean? And as exciting and as much excitement that Derek can generate to a fight, Frank's thinking, well, look, he's put me out of favor with the board. And look, he can't afford to really stay out of favor with them, because even though they're broke from the Michael Watson thing back in the days, some of them do have power and sway with certain commissions and alphabet bodies. Yeah? And they can fuck things up for you. So Frank is going to want to distance himself from the rogue element as far as he can. Because in business and commerce, you know, you can't really do that shit there. Because they've got a lot of shit they need to hide. So they can't have all this madness. You know what I mean? They try to keep it smooth on the surface. It's like I'm seeing a lot of the UK rappers. They've decided to follow this trap music shit, where you're talking about how much drugs you're selling on the road, how much guns you have, and then when you get fucked up in the system, they're oppressing me. You know what I'm saying? The real gangster shit doesn't really run like that. You know what I mean? It just doesn't run like that. And you have to remember that Frank used to promote unlicensed boxing before he got into the pro game. So he doesn't really need that excitement. You get what I'm saying? Sure, he rode on the back of the hype. You know what I mean? It helped set up the Box Nation thing nicely. But now he wants to hop off that. He wants to fix up his relationship with the board. Because he's a businessman. That's how businessmen do. Or gangsters. I mean, so right now, David Price and Frank Warren are looking to, it's like one of them wildlife documentaries where you see the hyenas roll a dead carcass. You know what I mean? Or what they perceive to be a dead carcass, ready to take their feast. But it's kind of cold what Frank Warren's doing. But that's business. That's business, you know? The minute you become obsolete, that's the minute the other product goes on the shelf. And Price better watch out. Price better watch out. Because Derek is still quite crude. But he's not a stupid guy. Like, he did have the sense to try and improvise a few moves in the Haye fight. Like when he went to the ropes voluntarily and tried to sucker David in and throw the counter shots. Yo, that's thinking on your feet. He didn't do it quite like Matthew Saad Muhammad maybe, but yo, he was thinking on his feet. I know Price has sparred with David Haye. And he's probably thinking, well, I know David Haye through sparring, and if he can knock him out, I can do it. But sparring is not fighting in the ring. You know what I mean? You've got to bear that in mind. You've got to bear that in mind. If you go on YouTube and you watch some really good fighters, there's some really good fighters, I'm talking about champions. And if you watch them spar sometimes, they look really sluggish. They're on the ropes and they don't look good. They're not taking the ring center. But it's sparring. Sometimes they're just letting their sparring partner come onto them to see how they deal with it, to see if they can find certain counters, you know. Sometimes they won't throw certain punches because they want to get out certain habits. You know what I mean? Like just throwing the right without setting the jab up. And sometimes they don't want to show you the full arsenal yet because it's all about peaking. There's no point being brilliant in the first week of training. Your training camp needs to start at this level. And then it needs to get higher, higher. Then you increase, then bam, you hit that peak. And then you're ready to fight. See, these are things that some of you youngsters are going to learn the more you follow boxing. It's the lab. It's the lab. If you're going to iron your mistakes out, it's probably better there than in a ring situation when a man is 100% trying to tear your head off. You know? Chris Eubanks, he told, I think was it Nassim Hamed, he said, look, when you spar lighter guys a lot lighter than you, you should just let them come onto you and not throw no punches back. Just try to defend their attacks. See if you can cope with their speed. That was one of his sparring tactics. So don't gauge fights by sparring. Yeah? Because I remember one time I saw a video of Carl the Truth Williams sparring Mike Tyson. And I think they were both amateurs at the time. And yo, Carl was giving it to Mike. You know what I mean? Like, he looked good. He looked good. He was putting shots together. He was dancing around Mike. And Mike, with his short reach, he couldn't get to him. What happened when they were pros? Tyson knocked him out in one round. Errol Jarrett called it accurately. He called it very accurately. And it's a tough game. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Hopefully, Derek and Don Charles are watching what could potentially go down. And you see, guys like David Price have to get a bit bolder. You need to call out somebody like Chisora before he gets knocked out, when he's still got that enigma of not being able to be knocked out. You have to fight somebody when the fear factor is still strong about them. So you have to fight your own inner demons as well as the opponent. You can't become a good fighter until you do. You know what I mean? But that's what David Price and Frank Warren concocted together in the event of Derek losing to David Haye. And that's how they're going to run it.
You're a funny guy, Sully. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
Now, like I'm saying, good trainers, they are worth their weight in gold. There's no doubt about that. But sometimes, you have to ask yourself, is a good trainer more important than a good promoter? Because a good promoter will be able to steer you away from them fights where you could potentially get toasted. I mean, no disrespect. Look at the career of Canelo, Chavez Jr. Are they both high-profile fighters solely due to their coaching? I would argue that their promoters, I mean, do just as good a job at getting them ready for fights as their coaches. I mean, if you got a good manager, promoter who can get you a smaller ring if you're a puncher, a larger ring if you're a boxer, if he can make the champion sweat down beyond the limit of what the title fight should be on some catchweight shit, yo, if they can get you out of taking drug tests and shit, you know, that makes the trainer's job a lot easier, doesn't it? Of course it does. Just an observation. Peace out. Larry Merchant has a brilliant name. You know what I mean? Because in the East End, the white boy, they have a thing called Cockney rhyming slang. And you know what merchant is? They call you a merchant banker. And that means wanker. And Larry is one of the biggest wankers. You know what I mean? Let me tell you that now. Larry is such a wanker. I heard Larry talking the other day on a video after Amir Khan got sparked out. He was saying how, oh, Khan was so reckless and he should fight more within himself. He shouldn't risk himself to such danger. But yet, this is the same dude who's been persecuting Floyd Mayweather and accusing him of being boring. But yet, you're trying to afford other fighters the luxury of being able to fight defensively. But you don't want to give that same privilege to Floyd. What did Karras once say? Why is that? So, Larry, the merchant banker.
Do you know shit about boxing?